Remember when you first started a business venture or a project? You were a debutante. You were new on the scene. There was so much positivity, so much promise. There was a really pretty dress. Your grand opening was packed with potential. And a year in, it can be hard to recreate that vibe. So, what do you do once the ribbon is cut, once you've returned your dress, and recycled all the party favors? The confetti is swept away, and the fog machine guy gives you your deposit back. Can you capture that fresh business optimism, even when the thrill is gone? Does anyone remember their 16th birthday?
No, I really don't.
Well, I remember the day I turned 16 because I skipped school to go get my driver's license.
Nice.
Ooh, yeah.
Nice.
Bad boy.
But I don't think I had a party or anything.
I had the one surprise party that I've ever had.
I don't think I've ever had a surprise. Have you ever had a surprise party for you?
My wife threw me one a few years ago, and it was so lame. Like, I mean, like,
hi, Steph.
Yeah, I don't like.
That's so sad.
It was sad because, like,
not many people. They weren't excited.
Just
you weren't surprised. What happened?
No, not everybody could come, and it just
just like a
I
grand opening.
envisioned it would be like if she did a surprise party, it would be this big party, and then it was just I don't know. It hurt my ego. Okay, it hurt my ego, but it happened.
She didn't invite the right people.
It's just, sometimes people have things going on, and maybe I'm just not as likable as I thought I might be. I don't know.
That is patently false. I don't believe
but
that
it's
for
not.
a second.
But it's not really a measure of your likability. It's how low.
Well,
how
this
low
was
your
when
esteem
I was
is.
still like, like I've liked ever since. I think ever since then I don't like birthday parties anymore.
I can imagine why.
I think I remember my 16th birthday party, and it was basically I had like 3 different semi-friend groups that all got invited to the party, but they didn't know each other.
Oh yeah.
So they were in 3 different groups, and I just had to go from table to table to table, and it was stressful, and my parents didn't understand why I was so stressed out. And they're like, we put a lot of effort into doing this. I'm like, sorry, parents.
That's something we learned over the years. You just can't mix your friend groups. It's
hard. You can
in the right environment, like a wedding or something.
Though.
It's fine, but like when it's a little bit more intimate, like they just don't mix usually as well. I mean, people, unless there's a lot of alcohol or something involved.
But keep people in their buckets in your life. Compartmentalize them.
I taught my kids that.
Well, my friends, I have party friends and I have non-party friends.
Yeah.
So I have friends that can definitely handle a social situation, and other ones that just have no desire to do it at all.
That you have to transport, like the dinosaurs on
right.
Jurassic Park. But today we're talking about being a fresh business, being a newly minted entity in success and in business, and that excitement and what it takes to hold on to that excitement. Because I don't feel like a new adult. I'm an old adult.
Well, I'm going to relate this, the feeling to sports. Like I grew up when I was in high school. I started surfing, and man, I fell in love. It was so exciting. I'm learning. Like I started to get in pretty decent at it. But then, fast forward 10 or 15 years, I traveled all over. I've done competitions. I'm not getting any better. So it's lost its luster just a little bit. Is that the right word?
Sure.
Come in pickleball, my new thing. Like I'm in that stage of learning and I'm starting to get better, and it's fun, right? It's fun to start getting good at something, right? But when you go to a business, I remember with my agency doing that for a long time, but there were moments after a while where you get bored, right? Like how do you get yourself motivated? How do you get yourself excited to come to work today versus like, I gotta go deal with customers?
I remember when I graduated high school, I did not know what I wanted to do. I had done music. People had told me that you should do ads because they're like, you can't get paid to do music.
Because nobody could sell a bar of soap like you could.
Whoa, boat soap?
Yeah, I don't know. I was telling you to do ads. I was
Like be in ads.
yeah,
Be a salesperson.
a rep.
I wanted to be a FBI agent.
Oh.
That was what I wanted. And so you have all these different
Did you act on any of that?
on the FBI. No, I didn't, because there was anxiety about choosing the wrong one. So I think there can be a little bit of a paralyzing effect of potential. And
So my dad always said, why don't you just try something, and then if nothing else at the end, you'll know it's something you don't want to do, which was the right concept with the wrong justification.
yeah,
Because to me, my mind was always, there are so many things I don't want to do. This is going to take forever.
yeah.
I can't go through enough things by process of elimination. It's not going to work. But everything that you do, you take a little something from.
Yeah, that's true. There's an element of just needing to go through life and refining.
And you never know, right? So you might have started firearm training and then discovered that there's,
I'm an assassin.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking more like, oh, you liked the discipline, you liked something, and then found a relationship there. But maybe assassin for you.
Yeah.
Let me throw something by you guys, run something by y'all. Talking about a business or taking on a new sport or a hobby. At some point, do you think the excitement of discovery gets replaced by the satisfaction of mastery?
I don't think I've ever had the satisfaction of mastery.
Well, it doesn't mean you're fully a master, but you're doing something good. Like you're excited, you're satisfied because you're achieving, right? Like maybe you're not a master, but like you start a business that's all exciting in the beginning, you deal with all these things, and at some point what gets you up and going is because you're providing a living for people, enough people, you're paying them a living wage, you're putting money in your bank account. Does that, I don't know, is that a...
Yeah, I think that there's definitely important elements to both, because you start a business, you don't know what's going to happen, you're optimistic, and then you reach a point where you've got some level of success. You have a staff. Every week you're able to pay their salary and you're growing, but there's still other levels to get to. And so if you have mastered the skill of operating a 10-person business, how do you get into that mindset of having the potential to do a 30-person business? So I think there's an element of that to say, oh, look what I've accomplished. And now this is my grind. And now every day I need to focus on supporting these operations, while if you captured that potential, you could move on to the next level.
I know for me, like even today in my job today, if I don't set a goal for myself or have a specific project I'm working on, my motivation can wane a little bit, right? Like I have to be very conscious about that. I have to be like, what am I going to go to work and do today? If I can't really answer that very well, it messes with me. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I think it's a red flag for me, actually, when I talk to people and over time, they consistently keep talking about what they did in the past, not what they're going to do.
I like that.
And I know this is so true for especially a lot of businesses, in careers where you really have to stay motivated. So sales is one of the toughest games out there. My hat's off to salespeople, because in many ways, it's probably one of the most difficult jobs that you can do, where you have to motivate yourself every day. And as soon as I hear a salesperson start talking about the big sale they made 8 years ago, it's kind of like listening to a married couple talking about how incredible the wedding was. And I'm like, this relationship's on the rocks, because all I hear from you guys is how great the wedding was, and I'm hearing nothing about today.
Man, back in high school, I could throw a pigskin quarter mile.
It is true. It's true though. It's true though. I think for these events like a quinceañera, a grand opening, a wedding, any of these kind of passages, rites of passage, you're going to kind of come out three ways on them. One, it was the peak and pinnacle, and everything's downhill after that. Two, you start dismissing it. You're like, oh yeah, I turned 21, whatever. Or three, you look back on it, and I think this is the most constructive is, wow, when I had that rite of passage, this is who I was and where I was, and this has been my journey since. And this is what I took then. This is what stayed with me and is consistent. Dan Pink, who's, I talk about him a lot. He's one of my
Friend of
favorite
the show.
artists. Yes. He talks about that too. So like what you carry with you consistently. And so things that you can look back when you're 21 and say, oh, this is still true. It's a really fascinating.
So I want to back up just a minute. You said something that caught my attention, and it's kind of on subject, a little bit off subject, but you were talking about salespeople, one of the hardest jobs. And they always say that everybody, people have different motivations drive them, right? Some people are motivated by money, and some people are motivated by recognition, right? So do you believe there are people out there that money is the true motivator, so that keeps them going?
Nope.
Interesting.
I don't. There's an economic concept called the Laffer curve, and you'll hear a lot of people throw it around. But the basic idea is you can pay somebody more money to get them motivated to do something up until a point. So can I take somebody that is, well, it's one of the reasons I think immigrants have done so well in the United States is because they come from a country that the opportunities are very small. There's not social mobility, whatever the problem is. They come here and they're like, oh, wow, I can do that. And then, they're working 3 jobs. They're working 60 hours a week. They're getting this stuff and they're killing it and crushing it. At some point, they decide, I don't need to go to 80 hours a week. This is crazy. I don't need to do this. And it makes sense. And so so there's certainly circumstances where you can do that. For most of us that aren't radically changing our environment from, a place of no opportunity to one with opportunity, we just never get there. And at some point we say, and this is something I think the Gen Xers embodied some of it. The millennials really took it to a new level of, hey, I'm going to have work-life balance. Let's call this what it is. It's work. I'm coming in, I'm doing a transaction, but I have other needs as well, and I'm not here just to make the CEO richer. Millennials have a slightly different balance of that too, but it makes a lot of sense.
So I do want to bring up a concept that we see all the time, and that is branding refresh. Like doing a branding refresh, because it's something that is pretty required in the world of marketing, and with any business, you want to look new, but you also want to hold on to the credentials that you do have, that you did build up. And I think it's the same. I have friends who have done Sweet 16s as an adult. Someone in their 30s, and they say, you know what? I want to have another Sweet 16. I want to have a real quinceañera. I want to have this. And I think that mindset can be important. But the question is, when is it time to refresh? When is it time to have a vow renewal ceremony and you invite all your friends? And you know that you're not being married, but you're still just being married. But
my wife says vow renewals are for people that are on the rocks.
That's absolute. That is such a true. I literally every couple I know that has done a vow renewal has ended up divorced.
They're just trying to.
Yes.
Well, is it the same thing when you're doing a brand refresh? Are you floundering, or are you giving yourself a new lease on business?
It depends on what you're changing. So. I think the reason a vow renewal is it is an arbitrary ceremony that you do. It's not changing the fundamentals. You're not changing who you are. You're not saying, I'm going to recommit to you to listen more or to get a job or do whatever it is that's the problem in your relationship. When you're talking about rebranding, if you do branding correctly, you're actively saying, I'm going to slightly change who I am and who I present myself and live that. That's a very different journey.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I mean, I do. It's interesting, the rebrand. Well, I see a lot of restaurants freshen their restaurant or their interior. They might not do a full rebrand, like they don't necessarily change their logo, but they change things within the business. I see that more and more. I think it's such a competitive industry. So I don't know where I'm going with this. Are you doing a rebranding because things aren't working and everything's going down and it's a desperate move? Or are you're the leader and you want to stay a leader and you're constantly, you need to keep inspiring and motivating your customers to come back?
Well, you got to do both. And
yeah.
And I think the thing that a lot of companies recently have found, aka Cracker Barrel, or for example, Cracker Barrel, you have to figure out what your core is and what your relationship to your customers are. What your relationship is. You have to figure that out and not alienate it.
Which they kind of did, right?
They did. It was not intentional.
Right, right.
But in this environment, you have to be extremely deliberate. And so, a grand opening is it is a great thing. And it is something that should be celebrated. I don't want to say that because I do think you should have, I don't know that you need a Sweet 16 like they do on MTV, even though I want one. I don't know that you have to have the most amazing surprise parties or whatever, but those things are important to have to mark passage of time and things that have occurred in your life. So a grand opening, it is a very bright line. This company has started. This business is doing something now. What you do with it afterwards is the real challenge. Did you go into this because all the planning and having the big flashy party and so forth was what you thought work was going to be going forward? Well, you may need to check which career you're in.
Yeah, in sports, they say, you don't need much motivating on opening day. Like, coach doesn't have to motivate the players on opening day very much.
Yeah.
Because they're all excited.
Right.
Right? The work comes in later, right?
Well, especially when you get knocked around a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. To close things out, I want everyone to give their tip about how they keep things fresh.
I'll start. I love podcasts because it gives me an insight. I listen to all sorts of different podcasts. Right now, I'm listening to Google's podcast about some of their enhancements. Like they're talking about YouTube and some of them new tools. All of a sudden, it's like, oh, I could use that. I could do that. So like it gets me excited on things I can use in my career.
Yeah, I think that's good. I do two things. One I got from Jerry Seinfeld. I splash water on my face. It's an amazing cold water.
Why not just jump in the cold plunge?
Well, because I'm at work.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You don't have a cold plunge in your office?
Not yet. Not yet. We're not Google yet. I mean, I have a sleep pod, but not a...
James, we should install one for when he comes in and he'll see it.
I mean, you might get a much happier guy.
Yeah.
You never know. The other thing I do is I like to learn stuff. I like to have something on the schedule that's not too overwhelming. I like a weekly, once a night or once a week, and in the evenings, I like something that I know I'm going to go do because I get it on the books. It's my time. And it doesn't have to be great, doesn't have to be life-changing or anything, but sometimes it is.
Love it. Mine's simple. I listened to I'm Coming Out by Diana Ross. You did that, or Got to Be Real by Cheryl Lynn.
There you go.
Some disco, some hard. And
how did you get voted the most masculine
by
in our group?
By who? Who voted for that?
The staff did. They said you were the most masculine over, well, you and James.
For
I
our
don't think
Friday
I was
lunch
on
group.
the thing.
You weren't there for that?
Oh, wait, yes.
Yeah.
This is...
Yeah, you had the big Grizzly Adam beard at the time, I think.
I've got big beard jeans.
I'm not holding on to that or anything, you know?
No.
I love a good... We're going to have to fight. We're going to have a fist fight. I love a good disco song.
You don't want to fight me, sir.
No, I don't. No, not if you have 16-year-old teenagers that you're constantly having to wrangle.